And we are live.
We
Welcome
back.
to episode 8 of
8.
the Heart and Hope Medicines podcast.
Ocho.
Shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all for even,
The faithful.
the faithful listeners. Even if you ain't faithful, you can be faithful. It's still
Yes.
time to be faithful. We still got episodes up.
Many
Episodes up full of gems. We just try to talk about things that that would be like things that we struggle with, or not necessarily. It don't even have to be things that we struggle with, but things that we know
other
people struggle with, in general. So we just try to help y'all by, our experiences and whatever God give us to give to y'all. So with that, the topic of today is idols.
Idolatry.
Yeah. So I guess we'll start off. What are idols?
Idols for me, simply put, anything that we place before God. Like if you do something on a day to day, you spend more time doing that thing more than you spend time with God, it's an idol. Whether it be watching a TV show, we can go Netflix for hours, sometimes for days, and not even think about the word or praying or spending time with God. That's an idol. Sometimes we can talk to friends or people more than we spend time with God. That's an idol. So anything that you place before God is an idol. Just put simply.
Facts. So I mean that right there, check some boxes for people. Check some boxes for me also. But yeah, definitely anything that you put in the place God is supposed to be. God's supposed to be at the center of our hearts, whether that be people, like anything, like object, like anything, you create or that's created that you just put in worship, and God is really serious about idols. Like God does not like idols, because God wants our time. Like he's a loving, caring father, and he wants to spend time with us and just give us all the wisdom.
Yeah.
And he hates when he can't do it. So he hates when there's something in his place, So it says God is a jealous God,
Facts.
So we have to be mindful of that as Christians, or we have to make sure that we don't have anything in the place that God is supposed to be, that we devote our time to God, and all that other stuff is going to come. Like
right.
You're going to get some free time. You don't get to do everything you need to do. But first, it all starts with God.
Yeah. And it's not even necessarily everything that you need to do, everything that you want to do. You want to do. You need to spend time with God.
Facts.
Because that's how you get the knowledge downloaded in order to better your life. And the thing about it is, bettering your life doesn't always equate to money. It equates to the way that you handle situations, the way that you talk to people. All of that stuff equates to better life. It's not always necessarily the tangible or the financial thing. So
for sure. What were some idols or idols, currently idols, that you have to constantly cast down?
Growing up, I would say the biggest one for me was approval of people. People's approval was so important to me, to the point where I would make decisions or I would do things that I know didn't agree with me, didn't agree with my faith, but I would just do it just because I wanted the person's or the people's approval. So people's approval was definitely something that I placed very high in my life, and I had to get to the point where I recognized that no matter how much I gave or no matter how much I did for people, they will always want more from me, not for me, from me. Who knows what they actually wanted for me? But it became a thing where I looked up to a person, and because I looked up to a person, I would pretty much do anything they asked me to do because I didn't want to disappoint them or lose their approval at all. So I became a do boy almost. It's not even necessarily me looking up to the person. It's just I just had an issue with approval in general. I never wanted to disappoint people.
Yeah.
So I just was always doing, Dejan, can you do this for me? Dejan, can you do that for me? And John, can you take me to Timbuktu? Then can you take me to Afghanistan? Like it just, I was doing it because I just
sure.
Yeah, I just did not like disappointing people. Like and even as an adult, it carries into my adult life. Like I sit and I think about all the time. Like I sing on the worship team in my church. Anytime I used to lead a song, I could tell you from the beginning, since I first got to Salt Mine, and up to like last year, every time I led a song, I would go back and listen to it and critique myself.
Mm.
Because I would be like, man, if I don't like this, I know the people don't like that. And I feel like they was disappointed with my performance. But the only thing that was successful in doing is causing me to hold back during worship. And I had to come to the realization, like, everything is not going to sound perfect when you up there for worship. Will it sometimes? Yeah, it does sometimes, but it doesn't always sound perfect. And I'm not doing this for people's approval. Like, I'm doing it for the approval of God. And that's it. I want to hear, well done, my good and faithful servant. And me giving half of what I have on the inside it's not gonna get me a well done, my good and faithful servant. So
Man, that's a good one, bro. Because I can definitely find myself in that shoe. I would find myself critiquing myself after I didn't, minister,
yeah,
and I would just go look at it, and I would just critique it and stuff like that. And then also, I had this, and I think sometimes insecurities and idols can flow together.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's basically because you're not relying on God, you're relying on yourself, whatever, how you feel and stuff like that. But I would find myself, maybe if somebody was like, oh, this fire, I find myself listening to my music, listening to it again,
Yeah.
And I realized that I was like, bro, that's insecure because you already knew, it was good, but because they said it, now you want to listen to it again.
Let me make sure.
And like, it was fire for real. Yeah. Like, when you should already, like, you put it out, you should already knew it was good enough for you to put it out.
Yeah.
So what people say after that, you can't really weigh that heavy.
Facts.
Like you gotta, like, there's certain people that I would respect their opinion, like, because either they do music and I didn't, know they got a, ear for it and everything like that. But even that, I still don't put it super high where it will go against what God said. Like, it ain't even close. Like, I'd be like, hey, I can't really, well, God told me to release this, so I don't really,
Facts.
So certain things, I don't even ask certain questions, like, I remember I used to ask certain questions, like, bro, how do you feel? Like, but that was me in my insecurity, asking certain questions that don't need to be asked. Like, why are you asking that?
Yeah.
Like, if you supposed to do this, then you do it. You don't have to ask, was that good? Was that, how did that, when, you should do it and, you should feel like it was good, you should know.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, like, I know exactly what you're saying. Like, you ask that person if it was good, and then they say it was good. You get that little confidence boost, like, yeah, man, that was great. That was super good. I'm so excited about it. And that confidence boost only lasts for like a day, maybe.
Yeah.
And then you back to, is this good? Is it not good? Mm-hmm. So you go ask somebody else. You're trying to get that confidence boost. You're trying to get that approval. Yeah. And you don't need it. Mm-hmm. You don't need it.
Sitting here chasing after it.
Man, like that's going, like it's going to skyrocket you into the next place in your life, or it's going to ensure your success when you release this song. No, it doesn't do any of those things for you. Mm-hmm. But because of that the idol of approval, you make yourself believe that if this person thinks it's good, then everybody is going to think it's good. No. And that's something that I had to battle. I had to battle heavy, like recently, like with working on this single and stuff like that, working on music. I just kept asking people. They was like, it's good, man. This song is dope. Really? Is it? Is it really? Like second guessing, trying to figure out if it's good or not. When in reality, I just need to be like, okay, God gave it to me.
Yeah.
I don't care what y'all say.
Yeah.
Like, I respect your opinion. That's cool. That's fine. But at the end of the day, if God is pleased, that's the only thing that I should be relying upon. Not your voice. I'm not listening for your voice. I'm listening for God's voice. God is the one who gave me the lyrics in the first place.
Yeah.
So why would I ask you if it's good? No, God, are you pleased with what I'm doing? That's the only thing that really matters. It's the only thing that should matter.
Facts. And then the thing about that is everybody, your stuff is not meant for everybody. Nope. So that's the thing where we fall into that trick. Like, because you can't ask everybody and then think, or even ask certain people and think, because it could have been not good to them because they not feeling that. They not feeling, they ain't feel that. But yeah, you go over here and they're like, oh yeah, that touched me. Like, because I know what you're talking about, whatever like that. So you can't, that approval thing, that is an idol that we have to deal with. We that has to be cast down. And I feel like that's the reason why when Jesus got baptized, God made it known that this is my son. And that he said it right then, and that's validation. Like right then, like, hey, I'm validating you right now. So now you don't have to look for approval from this, from that. And we realize a lot of us fall short, or not even, a lot of us struggle because the validation didn't happen, at the beginning. We didn't, my bad, y'all. The validation did not happen at the beginning. It was like, basically, we either don't have fathers to validate us in that way, or we may have had fathers, but they didn't validate us how we needed to be validated.
Yeah.
So, or our moms or something like that, they didn't really give us. I feel like it's a difference between a mom and a father's validation.
I agree.
I feel like something about a dad's validation that is so deep for people, and I feel like with us not necessarily having that, for me not having that, and finding God and things like that, I long for validation. I find myself doing all type of stuff for validation, from people, validation for my mom and stuff like that. And then when I didn't get it, it just kind of drove me crazy in a sense. And I was like, God, I need help, because without that validation, I was just in a dark, it took me to a dark place, because it was like, I'm not getting it. So I don't care. I stopped caring or whatever like that. And I just, but once I found God, he validated me. And the battle is constantly remembering that God has already validated you, Brandon. God don't need to say anything else. Like he has already said what he said.
Yeah.
So you don't need him to say something else. Can he say something else? Yeah. But does he need to say anything else? No. He already called you to do this,
right.
So he doesn't need to sit here and say anything else, So that's definitely a battle.
I look at the validation of fathers. I'm just sitting here thinking about me when I was at my most confident, like even more confident than I am right now. Like when I was younger, I was probably like 8 or 9, I want to say, and you couldn't tell me nothing. But it's because I had my father there to always cheer me on and tell me, "You go, boy, good job, daddy's baby," something like that. Like he was always there to validate me and ensure me that I was on the right path. And I feel like that's what fathers validation does for people. It tells them that they're on the right course. It tells them that they're on the right path. So you even think about where he was just talking about when Jesus was baptized. God said, "This is my son, in whom I am well pleased." if Jesus if Jesus doesn't receive the validation and he reacts this in the way that we do, he would have been going to the Pharisees like, yo, am I doing the right thing? Am I saying the right thing? Am I on the right path?
Jeez.
The freaking crucifixion would have never happened. Because what was they calling him? The false Messiah. They was calling him so many different things.
Jeez.
Like, it just blasphemer. Like, they was calling him so many different things, and they would have led him astray because he would have always been searching for that validation. Because we got to remember, the Pharisees and the Sadducees were people who are empowered, and the walk that Jesus was walking in the faith, those were the people that were supposed to be looked up to. Those were the people that were supposed to be followed. So he would have been looking at them like, am I doing this right? Am I doing that right? No, you a blasphemer. You ain't the Messiah. So yeah.
Jeez. Hey, that's deep, because they said when Jesus was little, he walked with so much confidence that they literally was like, who are you? Like, like you like, and oh man, identity, it just shows you how big identity is for us. We have to know where our identity lies. Yeah. Our identity lies in Christ.
Yeah.
And we have to remember that. It don't rely in how the people, whether they like your music, whether they like your podcast, whether they like what you're doing. Mm-hmm. It relies in your identity to Christ, whether you're doing what he called you to do, whether you don't rely in what these people are saying about you and things like that.
Thanks.
So that's a big one.
Because the thing about it is idolatry almost shapes who you are. It shapes you. It doesn't give you any room to be anything but what that thing is. So like, just for people who idolize games, you sit there and you look at those people. They doing cosplay. They doing so many different things. I don't know if y'all know what cosplay is, where they dress up as the characters that are in the games, that are in the animes or whatever. They start to embody everything that those characters are. They get so immersed in the games that when they lose, they breaking the screen. They breaking the controller. They doing so many different things. It doesn't give you room to be anything but a gamer. You sitting there, you getting fat, you eating chips, you sweating in that chair. You sitting in that gaming chair, and it probably stink because you've been sitting in that mug for 18 hours of your 24.
Jeez.
But idolatry doesn't give you room to be or do anything else but what you're idolizing.
Jeez. For sure. I think that idol, as far as like, bro, I don't like to say that, people, this is my idol. This is my, like, I don't, that's one word you will never catch me using.
Never.
Because I feel like it's just, this my idol. No, that's you literally saying this is my idol. No. And I think people, I don't know if people realize that. Like, no, I'm not using that word. I'm like, all right, I look up to this person. No, but I don't. No, I don't. That's not my idol. I don't.
Yeah, man. Like, you even think about, like, we were just sitting here talking about Travis Scott before we started, and I'm just thinking about Travis Scott and how at his concerts people keep passing out, getting ran over, and all of this stuff. That is idolatry. Even when you think about people like Michael Jackson, man, people passing out, getting carted off on stretchers. That's idolatry, bro. You passing out, you hyperventilating based on seeing another person. That's idolatry.
And you just seeing them, like,
yes,
nothing else. Like, you just looking at them.
Looking at them.
My boy I seen this video. My boy made one move. They was like,
man,
that little white girl fell out. I said, at that point, like,
what's wilder is some of the people that's passing out be in the nosebleeds. Like, how you pat this man on the stage? He look like an ant to you.
You falling
out, bro. That's idolatry. It takes on a personality of its own.
Man,
people don't even recognize it. No, I just really love Michael Jackson. No, that's idolatry. You got to get your mind right,
man. Because you have them fans like that's like so like super crazy, like where they go, oh, I have I have this person's drawers too. Like I have this, not that, or whatever like that. I got 100. You go to their house, they a hoarder. They got all the different stuff. You like, all right, where's God? Like, where is this your God?
Yeah.
Is this your God? Because at that point, that's what you're saying. Like, if you immerse yourself in everything of this person, I gotta have this, I gotta have that, I gotta have this, whatever like that, then that is your God. Facts. Like, plain and simple, you are worshiping this person. Mm-hmm. And that's something we have to realize that. Facts. You know, we can't do that. We can't put a person that no person, no thing, no nothing in the place God's supposed to be. Like, God gonna be what you man, God used to say some scutty stuff on the Bible about when people had like different idols. Like, it's like call on your God. Man. Like, yeah, I forgot what prophet was that was like, yeah, if you're
Elijah.
I would say, yeah, Elijah. I think it was Elijah. Yeah,
it was Elijah when he called down fire from heaven and stuff like that. And the thing about it is, like, people, you worshiping these people, you worshiping these things, you'll never get anything in return. Never, ever. They don't even know your name. Like, they don't know your name. I don't know how many of y'all see the Kevin Hart special. What was it called? Dang. I can't think of it right now. The new one.
Untold Stories?
Yeah, Untold Story. Well, True Story.
Oh, True Story. That's not Untold Story. That sounds like something else.
True Story. It was a character in there. His name was Gene. This is a prime example of idolatry. Gene had every newspaper clipping, every DVD, every CD that Kevin Hart's character ever did in the show. He didn't even know his name. He didn't know his name at all. Like, he never got anything in return. And then he was recording them outside the hospital one day, and he was having a bad day because he had just murdered somebody, but the fan didn't know. And he said some stuff that was out of pocket to Gene, the fan, and his heart was just broken.
Facts.
He ain't want to do nothing. He didn't want to say nothing, to the point where he was recording them because he was following them because he wanted to apologize. But like we're saying again, your identity, your sanity is based on the things that you idolize. Like, it's crazy to me. Like, you even think about the Bible and in Exodus, when the children of Israel, when Moses had went up on the mountaintop, he went up there for 40 days, and they was like, well, Moses dead now. He ain't no way he alive being up there for all that time. So what did they do? They created a golden calf. And my boy B just said God is jealous. So when Moses came back down, 3,000 of them jokers had to die.
Man, we lucky. We lucky, bruh. We be cooked.
I'm gonna tell you like Jonathan McReynolds, I ain't lucky, I'm loved, and I realize it. They didn't realize how loved they were. Like, man, I love you so much. I'm gonna take you up out of here to show you. Like, man, people don't recognize, like, and the beauty of it is, the crazy thing, the beauty of it is recognizing the place that Jesus took for us, like, and being our advocate. Because in the Old Testament, an idol arise in your life, God, like, nope, get up out of here. You gone. I'm killing all of y'all. Like, God was taking out whole bloodlines based on sins against him. So
facts.
We just gotta be thankful, man. Idolatry is not the way to be living your life. It's not the way to go. So
even I got a scripture from Exodus chapter 20 verse 4. It says, "You should not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness or anything that is in heaven above, or that is in earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth." Mm-hmm. Like, so basically, like, God, and there is so many people, like, you find people that worship like animals, like so many of these false idols, or these, are like animals, and them worshiping all type of crazy stuff. And God's literally like, don't worship nothing. Don't worship nothing below, nothing in this water. Don't nothing else. Like, I created all this stuff, but yet you want to worship a tree. Like, imagine God looking at it. You sitting here, tree, I need you to bless me. And God, like, You look silly. Tree can't do nothing for you. Tree ain't doing nothing,
man.
Like that boy sitting there chilling, doing what it's supposed to do.
Right.
You ain't doing what you supposed to do.
You out of line. Like you out of alignment. And that's the thing people don't realize. Like you are out of alignment. Like like he said, the tree is doing what it's supposed to do. You are the thing that's not doing. I just doing what it's supposed to do, what it was created to do. We're created to worship. Like he said, we be worshiping all the wrong things.
Wrong stuff.
Like he said people be worshiping animals. I think about like Hinduism. They animal is an elephant. Like, why are you worshiping an elephant, man? Like, what is the elephant doing for you? If it see you, it's probably gonna smash you. Which is the crazy part. It's probably gonna kill you. But people, and I believe a lot of it is rooted in ignorance. Like you don't know, you don't understand the importance of putting God before all of these things. Everything that the money, the video games, the people, whatever it is, you don't understand the importance of putting God before all of those things. You don't recognize that He's the author and the finisher of all things. Like He created all of this stuff. He's seen it all before it even happens. So why would I trust? Like he said, why would I trust anything that He created? Like, why would I put my trust solely in the things that He's created? It makes no sense.
That's gonna pass away.
Exactly. You gonna die. That thing is gonna die before God even calls you home. Like, why would I trust in that? Why would I trust in something? Why wouldn't I put my trust in something or someone that's eternal?
Yeah. And then even like, for instance, I seen somebody buy like this dude buy crystals and stuff like that, and I was just like, that's an idol. Like people be idolizing all type of crazy stuff. Like, oh yeah, this crystal right here, just touch it. It gives you it makes you, heals you. It get nah, bruh. I ain't rocking with none of the crystal. You keep your crystal far away from me. Don't bring that near me. Don't nothing. I said the only thing that I worship is God. That's it. Yeah. That's it. I can't worship nothing else. I know I'm worshiping God. If I need healing, He'll do it for me. If I need provision, He'll bring it to me. If I need food, He'll allow for either me to make money to get food, or He'll bring it to me. Like, and I think a lot of times, anytime we go outside the will of God, is mostly with idols.
Facts.
Like, it's an idol.
And the thing about it is, like, one thing that and this is helping me work through getting over self-idolatry, because self is one of them things that is super hard, especially for me to get past, is recognizing that God is proven. Like, everything that He says, He does. Every promise He's made, He's done it. None of His words have come back void. So when I recognize that, and when you even look at self-idolatry, you let yourself down all the time. Mm-hmm. But God has never let me get down. God has never failed. Like, His track record is 100, 100, 100, whereas mine is 70 here, 60 here, maybe a 95 over here, maybe a 43 over here. Like, my track record is bad even as it relates to myself. So how can I even put trust in myself when I recognize that God is the one who has brought me through every situation, no matter what it is? Like, whether it be some mental anxiety, whether it be a financial situation, whether it be a relational problem, whether it be a parenting problem, everything that I've placed before Him and He's instructed me and I've obeyed, it's come back 100% fine. Everything worked out the way that it was supposed to, in my favor. So,
facts. Also, as we talking now, God just allow for another idol to pop up. People stop idolizing pastors, ministers, bishops. You can't. They're not meant to be idolized. Like, God. I find so many people, and this is what sometimes leads to church hurt. because you have now put a human, I want to say people hurt, a person's hurt, not necessarily the whole church, but a person. You have put this human being who is has flaws in the position of God.
Yeah.
And now you expect for him to do this, do that, and just be faithful and as consistent as God.
Yeah.
And he can't. He can't. Like, he can try, but you can't put that much weight on a person and expect for him not to disappoint at some point in time. At some point in time, you're gonna feel some type of way. You put that much weight on a person, and it's unfair. It's unfair. You can't sit here and put that much pressure on somebody to do all this stuff. No, I'm not God. No, I follow God, but I'm not him. You need to talk to him. That's why sometimes on these Sundays and these Wednesdays, y'all pulling on pastor too much and not pulling on God, because y'all ain't spend no time with God.
Right.
So therefore, the man of God, is being pulled on like no other because you did not pray, because you did not seek answers for yourself. You calling his line, you doing all this stuff and not calling the Father's line.
Yeah.
You sitting here trying to call man. Oh God, no. Did you pray? Did you? No. But yet you sitting here making a pastor, a minister work like crazy because you not doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And you just, and then yet let them be in their flesh one day. Let them be in their flesh one time.
Tell you up.
And be like, nah, I can't help. Be like,
what kind of man of God are you?
You can't be no follower of Jesus. Yes, I am. But I was feeling some type of way that day.
Right.
But you sitting here, you ain't doing what you're supposed to do, and you keep asking me 100 different things or whatever like that. Man. But that's a big one.
Man, my pastor always he said, he recognizes his imperfections, which is big because a lot of people don't. But he says all the time, you gonna watch me take a knee, but you gonna watch me get back up, because he recognizes that sometimes, things happen. He might get tired, he might get weary or whatever, and he might need to take some time to regroup, and then he gonna get back up and keep walking. And that's what we have to realize. Like he was just saying, like B was just saying, man, like leadership we're people. They're people. Like you can't. God never sleeps nor slumbers, but we get tired every single day. So we have to recognize, like, there is fatigue, there is humanity. Like God didn't create robots. He didn't create circuits and wires. He didn't create steel to walk around and minister to people. He created flesh. He created ligaments. He created bones. He created joints. He created hearts. He created brains. Not so that we could be perfect, but so that we could be imperfect, but through him, our actions and our works could be made righteous. So we just got to recognize that it's about recognition. And like I said earlier, like it's a lot of it is ignorance.
Yeah.
Like people come in here and they see what is portrayed to be, or people portray themselves as the perfect person, like in being in leadership, or all you see is this person on TV. Like somebody look at Mike Todd. If Mike Todd didn't give testimonies of his own life, everybody would think he's perfect because of how many moves and strides he's made over the past few years. But in reality, Mike Todd is a person. Like he's a person who gets tired, he gets weak, and he stated it himself. So, but they'll build you up to be idols, and then when those people fall, it turns into World War III.
Right.
People's worlds come crashing down. I thought this person was this. I thought this person was that. Well, in reality, they not. Like they human just like you.
Yeah.
But they've reached a point where they decided, I'm gonna walk like this, or I'm gonna live like this. I'm gonna do my best to continue living God's way. So,
and then I think one good check of that, if you are to ask, okay, if this person is not preaching, or if this person, let's just say this person leaves, let's say pastor moves on, go somewhere else, will you still come to church?
Nope.
Would you still be a follower of God? Like, let's say somebody leaves the faith. Is God still faithful? Or did you wrap yourself up in that person, and now that was your God, and then when they moved, you was like, oh, well, can't follow this. No.
Or let's say even something that's so common in the church in today's time. You only come to church because your girlfriend doing it. Like, is God still God even if your girlfriend stopped coming to church? Are you gonna continue or if you trying to get your man saved and your man stopped coming to church, this church ain't doing nothing with people. Are you gonna just dip? Or are you gonna keep coming to church because you recognize that God is still God? So it's a lot of things. Like we have to stop giving God this contingent love. That if He gave it to us, like we wouldn't know what to do with ourselves. I know for a fact I wouldn't. Like if every time I did something, God was like, all right, bye. Because that's what we do to God a lot of times. If things don't go the way that we want them to go or we expect them to go, we be butthurt about everything, sitting up there crying and boo-hooing. But in the midst of us boo-hooing and crying, God still loves us. But He recognizes, like we said earlier, that you're just not ready for this right now. You're not ready for this level. So let me teach you, and you can work your way up the stairs. But you want to jump 20 flights of stairs in one leap, in one bound, like you Superman or something. Nope, you can't do that. You got to learn take things one step at a time. So we got to stop giving God this contingent love and be consistent in the love that we give Him, just like He's consistent in the love that He gives us. So,
why do you think, since the beginning, idols have been an issue? Like, why? Like, I find a lot of scriptures that God talks about idols and stuff like that.
Why do I think since the beginning idols have been an issue? I would say I'm gonna blame that on Satan, because Satan. I'm gonna blame it on Satan, but I'm gonna give it man and Satan, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because Satan is very good at creating counterfeits, but also because of our ignorance, a lot of times we fall for the counterfeit. So the Bible tells us our people perish for the lack of knowledge. If we don't have the knowledge, we too lazy to acquire the knowledge necessary to spot the counterfeit. So we just out here like, okay, Bugs Bunny is gray and white. Satan sends you a bunny that's black and white. But because we don't know that Bugs Bunny is gray and white, we're gonna go for the black and white one. It's still a bunny, right? It's still the same thing. No, it's not the same thing. We accept it because we don't understand. We're ignorant of the path that God wants us to walk on. And I feel like that's what it's been throughout all eternity, or willful ignorance as well. Like you think about the children of Israel, they knew what God wanted them to do. They knew exactly where He wanted them to go, but they just willfully turned their backs on the path that He had plainly laid out for them. Wait for Moses for these 40 days. He's gonna come back down with some instruction. Period. So
impatient.
Exactly.
Yeah, because that was a lack of patience, and a lack of faith, lack of patience, because God had just provided, but now He go up there for 40 days. You don't know if He coming down, so now let's make this make this shape right here, like let's carve this up right quick, and let's look at this right quick and praise this, but even like I say from the beginning, because God created us to worship, in our fall we're still acting in a function, no matter what, like whether you are a Christian, you're worshiping something's being worshipped. I was watching this, I was listening to this pod, and it was pertaining to music, and it was saying with music you're either on God's side or you're not. Like you're either, it was like basically if you're talking about anything else that is not, you know, God, then you are moving. He's like, you either, you either good or you bad. Like basically, it was like one or the other. It was like you either worshiping God or you worshiping something else, whether that be money, whether that be sex, whether that be this, whether that be that. It was like you have to, it's worship. So you have to be worshiping something. You have to be acting in that function. Like you have to be doing it because that's what God has created us to do. So either way it go, we gonna be doing it. And that just show you how good God is as far as like how particular he made us. Like y'all gonna worship. Like I created y'all to worship. So y'all gonna worship. I hope that I want y'all to worship me, but either way, y'all gonna worship because this is what I created y'all to do.
Thanks.
So I feel like because God has created us to worship, and that's what we doing. And whether that be worshiping God or worshiping something else, we're gonna be worshiping something. People like it's impossible not to. It's impossible not to. It's a function of us. So I think that's the reason why we fall. Why we have battled that, because God has created us to do it. So it's up to us to allow God to show us him and allow for us to worship him. Is when we go and just doing everything like that, we're gonna be worshiping something, but God's trying to get us to the point where we worship him, and God don't force himself upon us. So God don't want us to be robots and just worshiping, but he wants us to worship out our hearts, So God be like, all right, if I gotta walk you down this street for you to get this, then I will. If I gotta allow for you to come down this street, worship this, worship that, whatever like that to get to me, whatever, I'm be waiting on you, waiting for you to make the right decision, because I definitely found myself, I used to worship a ton of stuff, before Christ. I used to worship a ton of stuff, approval, worship, music, certain rappers, drugs, like all type of stuff I used to worship, sex, porn, all that type of stuff. I used to worship that stuff. And once I got saved and everything like that, right. I had to, the things had to come down, and God had to be put in his rightful place. And that's where the change began, when you focus on him and he starts to change you and things like that. So I see that's the reason why we struggle in that area.
Just sitting here thinking about it, like it's so important that once you are delivered from an idol, that you never reestablish that connection, or you make sure that the chain is completely destroyed as it relates to you and that idol. Because you sit here and you think about this, the children of Israel Exodus, like when we were just talking about Moses up on the mountain, and their lack of trust caused them to go back to start doing things that they were used to doing on their own. Because if you think about it, while they were slaves in Israel, the thing that they did was build. They built pyramids. They built statues for the Egyptians to worship. And I'm sure at some point they partook in the worship of those statues. So they just reverted back to the thing that they had been attached to for all of those times. So we just have to be careful that once we sever a bond with something, that we ensure that it remains severed. And how do we do that? We make sure that our trust is always in God, because that's the thing that caused them to stumble. Moses ain't coming back down from this mountain. That is an immediate signal of distrust in what God has said. So what do? They start worshiping the thing that they have been worshiping again all at a time. So,
and now also I think about this. God gave me this too. I think the lust of the eyes is huge. Because I can think of, people worship all type of models and things like that because of the way they look in their eyes, or if you think about, for instance, God has created like angels and all type of stuff. God has created all type of beautiful animals and angels and people, whatever like that. And if you just led by your eyes, you're gonna find yourself worshiping something, worshiping an image, worshiping a statue, worshiping a building, worshiping something that was created. This is so beautiful. Oh, this is so like I just want to come here every day and sit here and for 15, and just talk to it. Like what? But because of them eyes, these eyes right here being led, pleasing your flesh, now you sitting here worshiping all type of crazy stuff. You sitting here worshiping strippers, worshiping all type of just everything. You just sitting here like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. You're so oh my goodness. Like
facts.
God, are you a God? You must be like you, like you find people doing that. But I think like, and the reason why I say the eyes, because even if you think about it, the fall came from the eyes. Like
why can't we do this?
Like once they seen that, after Eve, took part of it, Adam was looking at that joint. Joint is juicy.
And
I do need. My mouth is a little dry. Got a little flat, But it was because of them. The eyes were, we visual creatures as far as men. So that's one thing we really got to make sure that's in check.
Facts, because at the end of the day, a lot of times we're covetous people. That's where the saying "keeping up the Joneses" comes from, because we want to have everything that the next person has. But I think one thing that has helped me not to succumb to the lust of the eyes is recognizing the beauty and not wanting other things. Is recognizing the beauty in what God has already created, like the trees and the sky and the ocean. Like I watched the Discovery Channel. Well, I used to watch the Discovery Channel all the time. In fact, yesterday I watched a little special on Disney Plus about volcanoes and the depths of the ocean and stuff like that, and just sitting back and marveling at the wonders that God made. So that helps me not to be focused on making the thing my God and recognizing that God created all of that. So there's no reason for me to look at that and say, oh, that I can say it's beautiful, but not let that be where it stops. It's beautiful, but it's only beautiful because God made it that way.
Yeah. So, because even like people worship their babies and stuff like that.
Oh my goodness, like, it's crazy.
And people be like, oh yeah, I'm supposed. No, you're not. Like it's cool to say your baby's beautiful and stuff like that, but it should always go back to the creator. Like everything. I would say the trick to get over idolatry is to always send stuff back to the creator. To always, oh, this light is beautiful. Oh, well, God created the person who made that light. So, and God had light from the beginning. He said, let there be light. So God created light. So everything points back to God. Like, and that's where, when we're ignorant, we don't realize everything points back to God.
Facts.
God makes sure everything points back to him. Every good thing points back to him. It's like everything you literally, okay, how? Because there's certain things we look at. There's no way possible a human being made this.
Yeah.
There's no way possible
without some instruction.
Without instruction from God, ain't no way possible. So everything literally points back to him. Like every, even if first person say, I invented this. Well, God, I'm pretty sure God helped you do that.
Gave you a little bit of inspiration.
He gave you something, because he is the creator and he has called you to create things. So you're just doing the function that he has put inside of you. So that go back to the Father too. You can't take credit for nothing. I can't take credit. I'll not take credit for Hope Medicine. God gave me that, and I just did what he just listened to him and whatever. Yeah, everything we have to be mindful of, just sending everything back to him. Yeah. And that's that would just help us. Like, all right, yes, I have just did this music. This came from the God though. Like, yes, I have just this podcast. This came from God though. This everything came from God. And if we just continue to keep our minds on that, this came from God. This blessing right here came from God. My daughter came from God. This came from God. This car, this house, this everything came from God. We will stay in the rightful place we're supposed to be. But when we just say, "Oh, I did this," yes. Then now we are God. We have just made ourselves a God.
Yeah.
And you know what that happens? When that happens, God moves out the way.
Facts.
You move God out the way. He don't move. You move him out the way.
Facts.
Because you now causing him not to be able to operate on your behalf. Mm-hmm. So
I'm sitting here thinking about it like, anytime I used to have such a hard time taking a compliment for anything, especially in church. Like, you sang that song very well today. Like, oh, yeah. I would literally respond like that and then walk away and make it so awkward. But it's because I was so cognizant of, not making myself the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm learning how to say, okay, to God be the glory. Like, that's all God. Like, saying stuff like that to remove myself completely out of the equation. Yes, I am the conduit by which God is moving in this moment, but it's still not by me. Like, it's God and God alone. So all glory to God. To God be the glory. Like, stuff like that, just to point you back to him, because I don't want no credit. I don't want nothing from it at all, because it's not going to benefit you to try to idolize me or, look up to me. It'll benefit you a whole lot more to make God the apple of your eye. So
for sure, he will get you to places that I definitely ain't getting you to.
Nope, I ain't carrying you nowhere.
But we just thank y'all for tuning in. It has been another episode of the Heart and Hope Medicines podcast, episode 8, titled "Idols." Let them idols fall down.
Yeah,
let God be praised and them idols come down.
Facts.
So we just thank y'all. Y'all can go buy merchandise at thehopemedicine.com and my brother's website called
openheart.luxurybrand.shoe.
Y'all can go get merch, shoes, clothes, whatever y'all need, music, and whatever y'all need. We just thank y'all. This podcast will be available on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and everything.
All that.
So we just thank y'all. We just love y'all.
Appreciate y'all.
And we are out.